Have you ever pondered what it might be like to fall madly in love with a Thai girl? Terry did, and it came at a great expense. Come along for the crazy adventure as we discover how a passionate evening nearly became a 500,000 baht catastrophe. Greetings again. I have another crazy story of Terry from the UK who had a serious crush on a Thai girl called Noi for you today. Everything began at a pub on Sukhumvit Soi 7. As soon as Terry enters, he notices her. He can't get enough of her beauty. They get into a conversation, but there's a linguistic barrier between them. But don't worry, they communicate using translation applications. Things get hot very quickly. They spend the evening together after he pays the bar fine. It's heated and passionate, and Terry believes he's hit upon something genuine. He had no idea, though, that this passionate night was only the start of a wild roller coaster that would leave both his heart and his money in ruins. He was hooked after that night, never to be forgotten. He wanted to express to her how much she meant to him, since he couldn't stop thinking about her. What then did he do? He lavished the gifts with attention. We're discussing anything from shoes to clothes. He was making purchases without even looking at the price tags. All right, so much for love, blindness. But the presents were only the beginning. He spent a lot of money on this elegant designer bag because he wanted to give her a memorable birthday. You know, the kind that sets folks back more money each month than their rent. He believed it would demonstrate to her how committed he was to their relationship. He had no idea that he was getting himself into a very big hole. Presents are fine and all, but Terry really wanted to make some genuine memories with her. Thus, he organized this romantic trip to a stunning island in Thailand. Imagine yourself alone with each other, with white sand beaches and crystal clear oceans. They had candlelit meals on the beach, went on private boat excursions, and did everything else. Terry said it was unbelievable, and to be honest, it sounds fairly great. Things grew extremely serious between them throughout this vacation. Terry revealed his desire for a life mate, someone with whom to create a future. And what do you know? She appeared to be in agreement. She was making all the right moves, giving him hope that this might perhaps be something. You can only imagine how ecstatic he was at this time. His conviction that they were destined for one another was strengthened by every second they shared together. The initial language barrier didn't seem to be an issue anymore. He believed they were speaking from their hearts. He was already envisioning their future together, perhaps even returning to his native nation with her. I get what you're thinking. Everything seems too wonderful to be true, doesn't it? Unfortunately, Terry was too engrossed in the action to notice any warning signs. Feeling euphoric, he believed he had struck the gold in terms of love. The problem with Cloud9, though, is that you fall harder the higher you go. And what a fool this guy was going to be. You see, even though everything appeared to be fine on the outside, there were some cracks developing underneath. In retrospect, the seemingly insignificant things that he dismissed at the time were actually the first indications of problems. Perhaps it was the way her eyes glowed brighter at the sight of a brand label than at his professed love, or the way she always seemed to turn the subject towards money. However, Terry was too enamored with what he mistakenly believed to be love to see these red flags. As the saying goes, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. He was going to have to learn that lesson the hard way, though. But this is where we're getting ahead of ourselves. He was still in his honeymoon phase at the moment, thinking that he had met his true love at a Thai pub. Recall how Terry was so in love that everything looked to be perfect. That honeymoon period was going to take a major turn for the worse. Imagine this then. Terry is ecstatic, believing that this Noi is his soul match. He has such faith in their relationship that he has an absurd thought. In an attempt to liven things up, he extends an invitation to a different girl to go out with them. I can already tell what you're thinking. This was a horrible move. You'd be exactly right. Everything appears cool at first. Everyone is laughing, drinking, and enjoying themselves. The tone suddenly changes though. Noi begins to exude a sense of envy through her body language, even if she doesn't say anything. When she notices it too, the other girl becomes uneasy. Before you know it, Noi has abruptly disappeared without giving him a reason or a farewell. Terry went there feeling a little anxious and bewildered. He's wondering, what happened just now? Did I make a mistake somewhere? There's radio quiet for a few days. Terry is going insane, believing that he has ruined the greatest opportunity that has ever come his way. He's messaging and calling, but he's not hearing back. Then her pal contacts her out of the blue. She informs him that Noi feels deceived and is furious. His heart goes down. He didn't intend to harm her. All he believed would be enjoyable. They eventually work things out after some back and forth, with the friend attempting to mediate. Terry says he's sorry and that it won't happen again. He is very relieved when Noi extends her forgiveness to him. He believes they've gotten past their first significant obstacle together. He feels much more connected to her now, if anything. He arranges a trip to Phuket for the two of them alone this time, with no other visitors, to commemorate their reunion and demonstrate his dedication. They share their future aspirations while spending days together, watching sunsets and relaxing on the beach. Terry is telling her how much he wants to spend the rest of his life with her. Furthermore, what do you know? Saying all the right things in return, she describes how she's never felt this way, and how she envisions a future with him. They're planning everything. Perhaps she'll relocate to his nation. Perhaps they'll launch a joint venture in Thailand. The options appear to be infinite. Terry is once more in awe as they make their way back to Bangkok. We faced a challenge, and we emerged stronger, he is thinking to himself. This has to be authentic. He's already seeing their home, their wedding, their future together. Guys, here's the thing. Despite the appearance of everything being perfect, Terry was blinded by love and missed certain warning signs. Like how her eyes would light up a little too much when he stated his aspirations to invest in their future together, or how fast she forgave him after the other Thai girl event. Now, buckle up, for this is when the narrative takes an unexpected turn. Terry has returned to Bangkok, still feeling quite happy and content from his romantic vacation to Phuket. He is prepared to go to any lengths to ensure Noi's happiness, because he is certain that she is the one. At that point, the requests for money start coming in. Initially, it's simply minor things. She needs a small amount of money for groceries and possibly some new work attire. Not a huge thing, is it? It occurs to Terry, I'm investing in our future together. But after that, the requests increase in size and frequency. She tells him a story one day about how she needs aid with her living circumstances. It seems like her friend is having problems paying the rent and may be evicted. Terry rises to the occasion. believing himself to be a shining knight. He doesn't hesitate to cover the friend's rent and deposit. He sees himself as creating a network of support for Noi, as well as assisting her in the long run. This is where things start to seem suspicious though. Her communications stop coming in after he sends the money. Initially, he dismisses it. He convinces himself that she's probably simply busy. But as the days stretch into weeks, their once constant communication becomes sporadic at best. He begins to experience a queasy feeling in his stomach, the kind of feeling you get when you know something is off, but can't quite put your finger on it. Though uncertainty is starting to sneak in, he's attempting to remain optimistic. Suddenly, he receives a message from a friend who lives in Bangkok. This friend had caught Noi looking very cozy with another guy at a club. It breaks Terry's heart. Even though he knows if his friend wouldn't lie, he still finds it hard to accept. When he confronts her about it, she insists his friend must be mistaken and disputes everything. She even accuses him of not believing in her, turning the tables on him. Terry retreats, feeling bad about questioning her, but the suspicion has been aroused. A few weeks later, he makes the decision to pay her a surprise visit. Without alerting her, he takes off for Bangkok, believing he'll arrive at her house and win her over. However, when he arrives, what happens? There is no sign of her. Her neighbors inform him that she hasn't been seen in days. That's when he gets a massive dose of reality. When he begins to investigate and ask around, the truth is revealed. It turns out that she has been seeing a wealthy Japanese businessman who has been showing her around with presents and trips. Terry's world falls apart. Everything they had agreed upon, everything they had planned together, had been a lie. He knows he's been seriously duped. When he used to send money, he believed he was creating a better future for them, but in reality, he was only supporting her way of life as she sought out bigger fish. Although it's a bitter pill to swallow, the proof is obvious. Money spoke louder in this relationship than love did. Terry was unable to recognize the reality that was right in front of him because he was so overcome by his emotions and wanted to buy into this fantasy romance. His tale is going to get more stranger, I promise. When he thought things couldn't get any worse, Noi drops a shocking revelation that will leave you speechless. The point is, Terry has already sent a sizable amount of money, right? Apparently, though, that wasn't sufficient. She suddenly comes to him one day with this enormous request. She wants 300,000 baht for her family's house. What would that be worth in US dollars? About $10,000. But there's still more. She also requests an additional 200,000 baht as a dowry. In total, 500,000 baht are at stake. That's a big sum of money. Even though Terry is now very far along, he is beginning to have second thoughts. When he tells his family what's happening over the phone, you know what they say? He is instructed to apply the brakes. They say, dude, wait until you're actually married before you start throwing around that kind of money. Intelligent counsel, in my opinion. This is when things become quite complicated. Terry is conflicted. A part of him wants to think that this is all true, that Noi does, in fact, love him. But there's more to it than just waking up and smelling the coffee. He hesitates as a result. He delays sending the money for a while. Big error. That's Noi's opinion, at least. She loses it and begins accusing him of not actually loving her and not having faith in her. The worst part is that she tells him he's making her family look bad. How about cranking up the heat? Terry is feeling the pressure as it is. He's caught in a difficult situation. Pay the money and risk falling for a fraud, or don't pay it and risk losing what he believes to be his true love. As the days pass, the stress continues to rise. Noi is silently treating him, perhaps in the hopes that he will give in. But the things said by Terry's family keep echoing in his head. Now he's beginning to see things a little more clearly. Then, as if things couldn't possibly get worse, the mother of all reality chicks smacks him in the face. He learns that she has been out partying with another guy after days without hearing from her. Furthermore, we're not discussing a light drink here. Nope, she's eating and drinking with a different guy. At that point, everything collapses. All of his uncertainties and tiny warning signs that he had been ignoring suddenly resurface. It's as though someone just turned on the lights in a pitch black room, and all of a sudden he can see well. He is struck by the reality like a goods train. All this time he's been played. To her, all those hopes and pledges, all those shared goals were merely pieces in a game where his money, not his love, was the winning prize. Now folks, let's analyze the monetary losses incurred by Terry over this exhilarating journey. Now is the moment to calculate the price of falling in love with a Noi. And it's not pretty, I assure you. Thus, in just 3 months, Terry sent his Noi nearly 150,000 baht. That's roughly $4,300 to be exact. But wait, that's not even the complete story. Recall all of those opulent outings and presents. Yes, that's a completely different amount of change that we're discussing. Consider it: upscale handbags, elegant meals, and vacations to islands. Living lavishly and believing he was making an investment in his future was Terry. In actuality, though, he was just leaking money everywhere. This is where the real deal starts. Noi gives him the big one, the 500,000 baht request after all that spending. At last, Terry wakes up and smells the coffee at that point. He needs to make a decision because he finds himself at a crossroads. On the one hand, there's the romantic ideal he's been immersed in. On the other hand, he is confronted with the harsh reality. Furthermore, what do you know? Realist prevails. He chooses not to send the money. Though difficult, this decision is the right one. This is not merely a financial decision. It's when Terry realizes that the foundation of this relationship was made of sand. Everything crumbles. All those plans for the future, all those assurances. The fact is, though, that sometimes it takes losing in order to succeed. Yes, Terry lost a lot of money, but the benefit he received was incomparable. He gained knowledge that will serve him well throughout his life. He begins to reflect on everything that has transpired, and it's as if he's watching a film in which the conclusion is predetermined. Now, it's evident as day that he disregarded all those warning signs. It all adds up: the persistent demands for money, the envy, the dubious actions. He now has a fresh perspective. He's not vowing to abstain from love or anything, but he will proceed with much greater caution coming forward, particularly with regard to Thai ladies. In that environment, love and money are frequently entangled in ways that can shatter your heart and empty your bank account, as he has discovered the hard way. What's interesting, after all of this, Terry says he would rather date someone from a tiny village, someone with basic morals, and away from the crazy pub scene if he ever looked for a life mate in Thailand again. I can't say that I blame him, given his past experiences. Ultimately, what appeared to be a movie-worthy love tale became a 500,000 baht nightmare. The bright side is that although Terry left empty-handed, he also learnt a priceless lesson that will prevent him from having to spend a lot of money and pain down the road. What can we infer from our friend's costly error? First of all, keep your pocketbook locked and your eyes wide open when it comes to cross-cultural relationships, especially ones that begin in bars. Terry's tale should serve as a warning to everyone who makes decisions based more on emotion than logic. Hey, we've all been there, sucked into the present and believing we had discovered something unique. However, you should take a step back and give it some serious thought if money starts to take center stage. In the world of holiday romances, keep in mind that often the most expensive memento isn't the one you purchase. Rather, it's the one that captures your heart and your pocketbook. Enjoy yourself the next time you're in Thailand, but be cautious. Please like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more Thailand stories.